I think this is a big, huge part of the story that it's hard to even digest fully at this moment. But you have Elon Musk, who owns Twitter, X, whatever we're calling it these days, X, who is a disinformation propagandist and now has could potentially have a direct line to the Oval Office. You have, to your point, the way people are receiving information. There are platforms that many people have never even heard of that are massive communicators to voters, including Telegram, including...
I mean, on the stage tonight, during the acceptance speech, they shouted out the Nelk Boys, Theo Von, Joe Rogan. There was one other one. I'm sure folks have heard about Joe Rogan, but a couple of those other ones that Trump, Aiden Ross, that Trump did interviews with, niche outlets, but have huge audiences. And a lot of the people, not everybody, but a lot of people that are consuming those kinds of news environments aren't. It's not like, to your point, how it's not 2010. It's not like they're then watching the nightly news.
Right.
You know,
Or
like they're not watching Lester at night.
Right.
No offense to Lester. Right. You know what I mean? Like they're in their own bubble. And that's like the majority of the news that they're consuming. And it is going to be incumbent on Democrats and it's kind of funny that the Nelk Boys got mentioned in the acceptance speech tonight, I guess. But you also have to take this seriously and figure out how to talk to those people and how to have a message for those young men, because the Democrats do have a message for the young men, but a lot of times they weren't really trying to offer one.
I want to come back to this. I think this is such an important part of the conversation because it's like how you think about how campaigns are run and operate, and it's just different quite a bit. But I do want to bring in right now Democratic Congressman Ro Khanna of California. Congressman, let me just start by getting your top-line reactions to what we know at this point tonight.
Well, obviously, I'm disappointed. But look, the rebuilding starts today. No political party in modern times is out in the wilderness for more than a few years. I remember 2004, I was volunteering as a young guy all over for John Kerry. I totally was opposed to the Iraq War. And I was devastated that George W. Bush did not get defeated. And Alan Solomon was there. I still remember Boston quoted Dr. King, "The arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice. Keep going." And guess what? 4 years later, we had Barack Obama, the singular political talent of our time, in my view, and he ushered in a whole new hopeful vision of America. So I'm confident. We still have to see where the House is going to go, but I'm confident we're going to rebuild in 2026 and we'll win back the White House in 2028. And we've got to listen. We've got to go on some of these podcasts. I was just on All In. We should have done, in my view, Joe Rogan. Go on all the podcasts and listen to what we need to do and have a compelling economic message. But I'm still very hopeful about the party and our future.
Let me ask you about control of the House. I mean, Republicans are projected to control the Senate. As we've noted, as you just noted, Trump is on the verge of winning the White House, which is going to make the House quite important. What are you hearing from your House colleagues about how things are shaking out tonight in some of these key races, some of which have been called, but some of which we're still waiting for, including a number in your state of California?
We're hopeful. We're hopeful for 3 pickups in California. It's a world of difference if we have Hakeem Jeffries as Speaker of the House or if we have Mike Johnson. I served for 4 years in Congress in the first Trump administration. The first 2 years, 2016 to 18, we didn't have Congress. That's when he'd had his extraordinary tax breaks and handouts to the ultra wealthy. That's when he had no check. When Nancy Pelosi took the gavel, that was basically at the end, effectively, of the first Trump term. So getting Hakeem Jeffries in there would be a huge blessing. I think we have a real shot at it. It's going to be close.
We're going to be all watching California. It could be some time, which doesn't mean anything is going wrong. It just means that ballots are still coming in. That's how the state of California works. I just want to remind everybody, Congressman Ro Khanna, thank you for reminding us, which I've been trying to do as well, that there are lots of forces for good, lots of forces for democracy. We have a strong country. So thank you for reminding us of that and for joining us at 3:45 in the morning our time. All right, I just want to come back to the table and continue kind of the conversation that we've touched on here. I mean, there's a lot of information we're getting in, but there is this question. I mean, the bro vote, as I'm just going to shorthand it, right? Trump got his highest share of young men that he's ever gotten in his 3 presidential runs. In North Carolina, Trump almost doubles his support from black voters since 4 years ago. So there are some key demographics that I think at this point, from what we know about the exit polls, we need everybody needs to be quite sober about.
Yep.
You've run a successful campaign, Jim Messina. Things change and evolve. I mean, I like to say that I had a Palm Pilot and I had a fanny pack when I did my first campaign.
Yeah.
Things have changed quite a bit. They change all the time. How do you think, as people look to 2028, this changes where things sit, how people run that campaign?
Well, I think it's really about two things. First of all, having a real message. And, you know, Rose said something I think is very right, which is listening. Shutting up for a little bit and actually hearing people and hearing their concerns. The second thing you have to do is go to some of these things. Tim called them niche, and they are, but if you look at their numbers, they're not. They're mammoth. They're bigger than some cable networks.
We need to stop, by the way. I'm just going to double down on this, calling anything niche. When I was the communications director for Barack Obama, people would say it wasn't presidential to do something, and it's like, the job of a candidate or a president is to reach the public wherever they're consuming information.
That's
it's not
exactly
to
right.
write an op-ed in the Washington Post, which, no offense to them, nobody reads. So
Right. Well, and TikTok is now the most dealt with political platform in America. And as you know, Democrats were on it for 2 years because the Biden administration was fighting about it. That evolution, figuring out what the next generation is, it really is both a message and it's a medium. And, you know, you've got to kind of continue to grow with that. But some of it is just really hearing these people, feeling seen. Part of the rural vote numbers, I think, those communities didn't feel seen by the Democrats, didn't feel seen by this. The other word we haven't mentioned yet tonight is economy. I mean, if she was going to win tonight, she would have been the first person in 50 years to lose the economic argument and win the presidency. And, you know, we have an economic messaging thing, and it's really been Donald Trump's sweet spot. And Democrats have got to figure out how to take back the economic argument, because when Bill Clinton and Barack Obama and Joe Biden were winning presidential elections, they won the economic argument.